Weirdest people in life are sisters that are obsessed with their brother and then brothers that are obsessed with their sisters.
So I'm just thinking back to the time when I dated this guy who was unusually close to his sister, like uncomfortably close. And I can be a little jealous. So at first I just thought that I was being crazy. The first time that I went to his house, he was like, "My sister's so excited to meet you," because he and his sister were adult roommates. Then we were all hanging out. She was hanging out in his room with us, and she ended up staying in there until like 2 a.m. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. She seems nice. But then every time I came over, the same thing would happen, and I'd just kind of be sitting there, and eventually I'd be like, I kind of want to go to bed. Then I would go to bed, and they would go hang out in her room. And they were always like wrestling and like punching each other. He was always like picking her up and putting her over his shoulder. Then he started hanging out at my house more. And she would FaceTime him pretty much every single night. And she even FaceTimed him crying one night. And she was like, "I just can't believe you've put this relationship above your own sister. I feel like we're not even close anymore." And he up and left right then and there. Like, we were about to eat dinner. He acted like it was a family emergency. And I'm thinking, like, y'all FaceTime every single night, and you live together. But then what did it for me was that we were all hanging out at the beach, and he and his sister were playing catch. Then she, like, tackled him in the sand, and then when she got up, he smacked her butt 3 times in a row. Before this point, I had thought, okay, they have a close sibling relationship. It might be different from mine and my brother's, but I'm just being jealous. I'm just being crazy. But that sent me over the edge. She also told me that their older sister, and she had told them that they were soulmates and that they had been in love in a past life, and that's why they had such a close relationship. She would also always bring up how she and his ex-girlfriend were like mortal enemies, and how she was trying to get him to leave her for years. And she would bring up how when they were little, they would take baths together, and it like got weird. But she would bring it up like, you know, like kids when they're little taking baths together, like they get weird. And like, okay, fine, maybe, I don't know, but why are you bringing it up? Why do I need to know this? She also would always talk about how handsome he was, and she would always be like, "You're so lucky. Like, I've always said, I just want to find someone that's just like him."
Storytime about how my best friend ditched me for his girlfriend. So a little background information, I was 14 years old, and this all happened from 7th to 9th grade. So my best friend Aiden and I met whenever we were in 7th grade, and him and I hit it off almost immediately. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. At first, he was using me for my homework because I was a straight A student, so it definitely was a fake friendship at first. But during the summer before 8th grade, he broke up with his girlfriend. Fast forward, him and I start hanging out more, and we got super close. Then he got back with his girlfriend. And she was the jealous type. She did not like that him and I were friends at all. She was always running to my friend Chelsea asking if Aiden and I would flirt with each other. And of course, every time Chelsea would tell her no. Well, one day him and I are having a deep conversation about how he thought that his girlfriend was going to leave him for her guy best friend. How ironic. Well, I was like, I don't think she would ever do that, blah, blah, blah. But then I asked him, hey, if you and your girlfriend weren't together, would you date me? Like for part 2. Part 2 about how my best friend ditched me for his girlfriend. So like I said, him and I are having a deep conversation, and I all of a sudden ask him, hey, if you weren't dating your girlfriend, would you date me? And he says yes. But nothing came of it. So fast forward, the pandemic hits, and I had never saw him again because he transferred to a different high school. We still talked every day, but then he just stopped answering the phone, and I asked my best friend why he stopped talking to me, and she told him it was because his girlfriend got jealous and she asked him to stop speaking to me, even though she literally had no reason to dislike me. But since he's a good boyfriend, he told her that he would stop texting me, and he did, without giving me a reason, which sucked even more. But I guess that makes him an even better boyfriend because he didn't tell me, oh yeah, my girlfriend's jealous of you, sorry. But still, I was pissed. Anyway, so I accepted it at that point until one day I was texting with Chelsea, and she sends me a picture of Aiden and his girlfriend. And he looked really happy with her, but I realized that I still had feelings for him, and I have no idea what to do. Is it too late or no?
Storytime of how a client used to lie to me to get discounts on her nails. Where do I even begin? This client had apparently found me through a close friend of hers who also happened to be one of my regular clients. Being the person that I am, I really love to start conversations and be in tune with my clients. In getting deeper into conversation, my client decided to tell me a little bit more about her life, or at least I thought it was her life. She told me many stories about how she ended up homeless and how she was sleeping on her friend's couch. And in those moments, I really did feel bad for her. And in feeling bad for her, here and there I would take a couple dollars off of her set. And she used to tell me that her way of paying me back was by wearing my nails in public and posting about me. She would return monthly to get her nails done again, but soon after I caught on to her story. When my regular client, who she had said to be close friends with, would come in to get her nails done, I would often ask about her friend's well-being and health if I hadn't seen her in a while. My regular would proceed to say that she was perfectly fine and in good health. She had then asked me why I was so curious about her. I was a little confused as to why my client was replying that way. She would reply in a way as to if having no idea about her friend. At this point, I was so confused. As the conversation between me and my regular began to unravel, I began to put two and two together, and I realized that her friend was lying to me about everything. Follow and like for part 2. Part 2 to the story time of when a client used to lie to me to get discounts on her nails. Figuring out that the client was lying to me this entire time, I had to figure out a way to confront her. She then booked an appointment after about a month or 2 of not even seeing her. On the day of her appointment, upon arrival, I had her sit in the chair, but I did not service her. She so rudely asked me why I wasn't doing her nails, and that's when I told her everything I knew. She looked at me like if I had no idea what I was talking about, and after that, she started crying, trying to make me feel sorry for her again. She tried to come up with so many other excuses as to why she was lying to me that I honestly got so fed up with her and I told her to leave. But here's what she proceeds to do after she leaves. I get an email saying that my page had been reported for fraud, and instantly I knew it was her. Not too long after, I received a DM from her on Instagram stating that she would come to me and try to fight me if I decided to say anything about this. I paid her no mind, and I decided to take matters into my own hands. I decided to charge the card that she had on file all of the remaining balances on the nails that I had given her discounts on. She came around and tried to dispute the charges with her bank, but the bank denied all of her dispute charges. And instead of fighting me, she ended up fighting her bank account. Hope you guys enjoyed the story time.
I literally just hopped out of a moving car because I was on the date from hell. Okay, like when I tell you I didn't even wait for this man to pull over, he was over an hour late for our date. Over an hour late to our date. I should have known then to just cancel this shit because you're not respecting my time. However, I overlooked it because I'm like, oh my God, I've known this person since high school, you know, and he's communicating with me, letting me know like, hey, I'm going to be, you know, this amount of minutes late. Like, you know, he's calling me, texting me, letting me know what's up because there's traffic. You know, we live here in LA. Shit happens. He's coming off work, whatever. So I was cool with it. I was like, all right, cool. You're being communicative. Like, I'll still continue the date. He comes to pick me up over an hour late. And when I get in the car, we hug. Hey, nice to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Like, you know, good to see you. Right. And then I let him know like, hey, like you're an hour late. Like next time, like, please don't show up so late because like, I won't like go on a date. Like I was being firm. I wasn't being condescending. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't being aggressive. None of that. I was just letting him know like, hey, I'm a very punctual person. My time is valuable to me. And if you're going to tell me you're going to be here at 6 o'clock, don't show up past 6. Okay, don't show up at especially 7 o'clock an hour later. And do you know that this man turned his car around? It's like, I'm taking you back home. Like, who do you think you are telling me that I can't be late picking you up to a date? I drove 30 minutes to pick you up and I paid for these tickets and blah, 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 blah. And who do you think you are? Sir, like this is why they warn you, don't ever date the person that has chased you for a long time, that has wanted you for a long time, because they're usually crazy. I jumped out of a halfway moving car tonight because I could not get away from this man fast enough. And I left his door wide open and he like peels off. What the f is wrong with you, men? Are you seriously mad because someone told you don't be an hour late to picking them up? The woman that you've been chasing for over 20 years finally gives you the time of day. I feel like this is one of those moments where he had it in his mind the whole time to play in my face because he wanted to get back at me from 20 years ago or something. Now, mind you, this is not an ex. I've never done anything to this man. I've never kissed him, never like curved him in any type of way, never played with this man's emotions. But I feel like because he didn't have access to me for over 20 years, when he finally got the opportunity, he wanted to like show me who's boss. Okay.